Kia ora tātou, nau mai, haere mai, and welcome along to a special Edinburgh Festival edition of Showy Ovaries. Yes, the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and all the madness that it brings is currently in full swing in Scotland. So I thought I would upload this doco I did from 2004, a wee while ago, as a tribute to all my good buddies who right now are in the entertainment trenches, because let me tell you, sometimes it feels like a fight to the death in Edinburgh just to tell some jokes. In 2004 and then 2005, I took 2 poetry shows to the Fringe and performed in the Gilded Balloon and the Pleasance. For my first Fringe, I decided to add even more work on the enormous load of flyering for around 4 hours a day, then doing my show, doing all the admin, the emailing, the publicity, etc., 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 by recording a documentary for Radio New Zealand. I came home and edited it on my then boyfriend's laptop, and it played in New Zealand when I was back in Old Reiki doing it all over again in 2005. That year, though, was not as much fun as the previous, though it was more financially rewarding. I was on at 11 o'clock at night, and at times it was one of the most character building, aka fucking awful experiences in my career. I could be sold out with 5-star reviews on Cloud 9 one day, then have 6 clinically dead audience members going home and crying on the floor the next. Let's just say there's a reason it took me 10 years to go back. Most definitely not trying to sell performance poetry, because despite the absolute magic it can be, I feel like performance poetry can be like little darts of just the words that fly under your skin and just give you goosebumps, but people have been scarred by poetry at school, etc., and often run away screaming. Jane Austen, though, they love, despite being poetic. Also to note is how much my writing style has changed in the past 18 years, unsurprisingly. And I would like to say there's a couple of questionable comedy moments in amongst here when viewed through a 2022 lens, especially around some stereotypes and comedy from that. So please view this as a period piece, which anyway is on brand for me now. Okay, enough rabbiting on. Here comes the doco, complete with interviews with Cal Wilson, Bret McKenzie, Michele A'Court, Jeremy Elwood, the wife of a giant vibrator, notorious Scottish critic Kate Copstick, which is quite hard to say, and 4 very charming buskers, etc., etc., etc. Enjoy!
I've got an everlasting love for you.
It's your mother here, remember me? The womb that bore you? The ovaries to whom you owe everything?
Bring back the days of innuendo when one didn't make an error but a boob.
She's match fit and she's made up and she's out to get her man. A thin strip of puff pastry with a layer of thick fake tan.
Can we have a fantastic round of applause? Welcome on the stage from all the way from New Zealand, the Queen of Tarts, Penny Ashton from Hot Pink.
Hot pink glasses clink, look around and catch a wink, leave those dishes in the sink, Cosmopolitan's what I want to drink, hot stuff, powder puff.
Take 1 part Hot Pink Poet, mix it with 23 shows in a row, add a sprinkling of rain and a dash of insane optimism, and voila, you've got a Hot Pink Haggis. Hey, I'm Penny Ashton, and in 2 instalments, I'm going to take you through the madness of putting on a show in the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. In the Fringe's 58th year, I took my solo show, Hot Pink, to perform at the Metro Gilded Balloon Caves 2. It was a 60-minute extravaganza of comedy, poetry, stupidness, which I performed in a 600-year-old cave. My very glamorous venue was dirty, had a water feature when it rained, and was as humid as an All Blacks underpants. But its atmosphere was just as pungent. During the height of Scotland's supposed summer, 15,000 performers descend upon Edinburgh to take part in the world's biggest fringe. They come from the 4 corners of the globe, but some come from just down the road.
My name is Sandy Nelson. I'm involved in the wonderful comedy tapas, or smorgasbord if you will, called Dance Monkey Boy Dance. The highlight of the festival for me was last night when I forgot to bring the tape of visuals from my house in Glasgow, which is 30% of the show.
So and what did you do?
We had to write a new show.
And how did it go?
It went fantastic. We just did a different show.
What's the weirdest thing you've seen in Edinburgh?
I saw a pint of lager that cost less than £3. And that was really, really strange, because at tourist time, everything just doubles. All of a sudden, everywhere's haunted. Do you know that this venue's haunted? You know, £7 entry, please. You know, hey, all right, mate.
What do you think about all the tourists descending on Edinburgh?
I feel sorry for Edinburghers, because it's not a big city centre, it's not a big town, and because it's so old, there's lots of narrow streets and narrow pavements, and everybody's just knocking each other out the road. It's like London comes to Edinburgh for 3 weeks and bees all Londony and then goes away again. Scotland's got lots of wide open spaces and we like to wander, and then all of a sudden we're all kind of crammed in like that with fat Americans, and, you know, saying, where's the castle, Mac?
What about the money
Money?
that they bring in? Yeah.
Oh, that's fair enough, but I don't see any of it. It costs so much to put on a fringe show that you generally end up in debt, but we sold out again tonight, so maybe we won't be in such debt. We're surprised that we sold out so quickly. We have faith in our act. We know that it's a good act, but we didn't know it was going to be so soon.
Right.
That the word would get around, or else. And we go out and flyer all the time, because we don't really care. Some people think that's cheap, to flyer your own show. I don't know.
Okay, well, thank you very much and good luck.
No problem. Give us a kiss.
Thank you. Very good. Cheers.
Hi, I'm Phil Kirk from Belfast. I'm the supervisor of the box office caves for Metro Gilded Balloon. The weirdest thing I've seen in the festival was a man's balls being licked.
Tasty. During the festival, Edinburgh's population explodes with tourists and performers alike. I asked a local lass how she felt about basically Auckland visiting Eketahuna once a year.
I love it. I think it's great, but sometimes when I'm out shopping and I'm having to push my way through the tourists, I do get slightly peed off.
I can understand that people get annoyed.
But it's nice because it's really lively, and normally a lot of the Edinburgh people can be quite dour, whereas when the festival's on you meet lots of smiling, happy people, and it does make a difference.
Especially with the weather at the moment.
Exactly. Everybody's been saying it's a real shame about the weather for like the tourists, and I sort of think, well, bugger the tourists, they can leave, whereas we're kind of left with it. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
They can go back to New Zealand and lovely warm places and see the sun, whereas we can't.
So why do you stay?
Because I love it. My parents used to take in festival visitors, and my mother had a lot of people from the Royal Ballet. As a family, it was really interesting. We would all be living in one room, and they would assume that that one room led on to lots of different rooms, and it didn't. It just led on to that one room where we were all sleeping together.
Excellent. Have you got anything you might want to say to the people of New Zealand?
Well, just hello, and I've seen Lord of the Rings loads of times, and I'm desperate to come out there, and I do prefer New Zealand people to the Australians, who I can't stand.
Sadly for Evelyn, Australians are like toadstools and pop up everywhere. A good crop could always be found on Edinburgh's oldest stretch of road, the Royal Mile. During the Fringe, its cobbles are closed to all but human traffic, and it's always jam-packed with Aussies, grown men in nappies dressed as chickens, Japanese girls in fat nudie suits, people painted blue standing very, very still, etc., etc., etc. And they're all desperate to do one thing: give the bewildered punters a flyer to their fabulous show, darling.
My name's Pam Ford. I'm doing my first one-woman show called Pam Ford, My Life is a Circus. I was born in Birmingham, raised in Australia, as you can tell by the accent, can't help that. And I've moved 25 times, and I've been married and divorced twice. I've got 2 evil teenage kids. So my life's a bloody circus, so that's what my whole show's about, my life story. It's therapy, cheaper than going to therapy. It is very exhausting because I'm wearing my full ring mistress's outfit.
And are you getting people excited with your whip?
Well, I seem to be attracting a lot of menfolk with my whip, but the wives seem to drag them off away from me. They don't seem to want to know about it.
What's the best thing you've seen at the festival so far?
There's a big penis walk around, which is must stand about 20 foot high. That's amused me a bit because, God, isn't that everyone's dream?
Hello, Penny. My name is Phyllis Founders, and I'm in a one-woman show called The Virgin Club.
And can you just tell us a little bit how you're advertising yourself?
We have the world's tallest vibrator. He's hot pink, he's 14 foot tall, and inside is my fantastic 6'6" husband.
He's certainly a feature of the festival. People haven't been sure if he was a penis or a vibrator. Have you got anything to comment on that?
Let's just get one thing straight. Penelope, he is a vibrator. And I am tired of people calling out, you knob, you dickhead, you know you look like a prick. Coming to the end of the festival now, it's starting to get a little bit tiresome.
Do you think it's worked in bringing people in?
I think it has, but then you can never be sure where the audience comes from. I mean, do they come from flying? Do they come from press? Does it come from having a very large phallic symbol walking up and down the streets? And we've been banned from the Royal Mile, so we have to stand on the other side of the barrier. You are, however, allowed to be sprawled on the cobblestones, covered in fake blood. Violence is allowed. Vibrators, however, are not.
Especially, I mean, this country is so, whoops, how's your father, rude, all whanā, wah, wah, vicar. You'd think they'd be able to cope with that sort of thing.
Completely not. We have been banned from many things. The Edinburgh Cavalcade, banned from the Meadows, which is an event that happens here on Fringe Sunday. It got a little bit ugly, actually, on Fringe Sunday. We had two big burly guys come up to us and said, it's going to get serious now. I'm not having that. Whether or not they've got penis envy, I'm not sure. The Virgin Club is lots of fun. Let's talk more about sex. Be more open about it. I don't think we talk about sex often enough in the most explicit but tasteful detail enough.
I wish I'd seen Phyllis's 14-foot tackle being tackled on Fringe Sunday, but I was busy shaking my booty in the cabaret tent. Fringe Sunday is a free event held in the Meadows. It attracts over 100,000 people to soak in the stalls, performance tents and candy floss. Think the big day out meets the A&P show and you get the idea. On a rare sunny day, I did a 15-minute set to a packed crowd of very polite listeners.
Right, the next act, she's all the way from New Zealand. Have we got New Zealanders in? 1, 2. Oh, bless you, you look like a red-headed Maori. Oh, that's fantastic. Welcome on the stage, Penny Ashton from Hot Pink.
Hello! Lovely to be here all the way from New Zealand. Where are the New Zealanders? Make some noise. Oh, yeah, woo, over here, excellent. And she's wearing pink as well, very good. Hello. I'm going to do a few little excerpts for you now. I figured, I'm a single lady, I'm coming to Scotland. Who knows? Might meet a nice man, maybe get a little bit lucky. And so if I did, I figured I might write a poem for him, and that's what I'm going to do for you now. I'm a bit scared doing it in such a Scottish place because it's horribly stereotypical, and it's called Braveheart. What have you got up your kilt there, Jimmy? What have you got up there? Is it a wild and wilderness world where explorers disappear? Is the air very bracing like a strong Highland breeze? Or is it a full and flavoursome place like the most exotic cheese? Does it ever host a party, a wee dram for all your friends, with haggis and neeps and tatties too in a most intimate glen? Is it a place of refinement, genteel for all the gents, with Scottish breakfast, a stiff upper lip, in a charming tartan tent? Or is it, as I imagine, no place for a dandified Jessie, just the gentle strains of Auld Lang Syne and a monster to rival Nessie?
Unfortunately, the Scottish lads weren't throwing themselves at me, so I decided to head into the crowds of Fringe Sunday to see who I could find.
My name is Stacey and I'm working in the information tent. Well, the worst thing is being asked about 100 times where's the beer tent, and there is no beer tent and everyone's heartbroken and they don't like us after that.
My name's Kirsty Jameson and I work as club manager, which is responsible for the area where performers hang out.
Can you think of the most bizarre question you've had?
Yeah, how long is the Royal Mile?
Were they American?
Yes.
Hi, I'm John and I'm a rubbish buster at the Edinburgh Festival.
What's the most disgusting thing you've picked up?
Condoms.
My name's Miranda and I'm working front of house at the Gilded Balloon.
Have you had to eject anybody for being drunk?
No, but I wasn't there late last night when apparently there was a naked man on the dance floor.
My name is Paul Helm. I'm from the US of A. We're doing a show called Life 101. We call it American Pie Meets Friends.
What is the weirdest thing that you have seen at the Edinburgh Festival?
Weirdest thing? I've seen a lot of naked people today for some reason. A lot of promotions are naked people. I just saw the Wild Party and this guy was wearing only a flyer.
At least probably like an A4 size flyer.
It was a pretty small flyer, I'll have you know, so sucks to be him.
Okay, my name's Mark Leeson and I'm doing The Wild Party by Andrew Lippup and I'm dressed in flyers.
Very cunningly placed flyers.
Yeah, well, I've got a nice kilt going on.
What I'd like to know is how do you get them to attach to your nipples like that?
Well, it's the old-fashioned method of sellotape, and it's going to hurt when I take them off.
Can you tell us a bit about your show?
It's set in 1920s America, around the time of the speakeasies, the jazz age, so it's a great score, great music. Got a 7-piece band, and there's 20 in the cast, so how we fit on the stage, I don't know, but it's a lot of fun, loads of energy. Everyone should come to Edinburgh, everybody.
Right, and are you cold?
Only when it gets a little bit windy.
I performed, produced and publicised my own show. It was a hard task given that there are 1,700 shows at the Fringe and no one had heard of Penny Ashton. In an effort to get kilts on seats, I flied on the Royal Mile every day for 3 hours trying to raise my audience average from the festival's average of 7. I wore a cowgirl hat to attract attention, but when it came to Shakespeare, one thespian decided that nobody could resist a man in uniform.
He that shall see this day and live old age will yearly on the vigil feast his neighbours and say, tomorrow is St. Crispin's, then will he strip his sleeve and show his scars and say, these wounds I had on Crispin's day.
My name is Tyrus Lemarand, and I'm here with my wife. We brought our adaptation of Shakespeare's Henry V, titled A Little Touch of Harry in the Night,
And it's a one man alone on a bare stage, and he recreates the entire Battle of Agincourt and all the events leading up to it using only Shakespeare's words and the audience's imagination. And we've had a really good run, considering that the weather has been so bad. But, we stand out there on that pillar every day passing out flyers, and that is the big reason why we've had the crowds that we've had.
Yeah.
And good word of mouth and a good review in the Scotsman.
And how do you feel standing up there wearing that all day and handing out flyers? Lovely big boots and a big sword.
Well, it's a good thing that it's comfortable. When I designed the costume, I wanted it to be like a uniform. I was in the Navy. I was on active duty for 11 years, and this costume is designed off of some of the uniforms that I wore while I was in the Navy. I had my midlife crisis when I was 30 years old. I gave up a pretty good career in the Navy and decided that I wanted to be an actor for the rest of my life.
How does that work?
Well, it was I had done theater when I was at the Naval Academy, and then I had to do my commitment, so I had to give 5 years of active duty after I graduated. I did those 5 years, and I had a good time, and I learned lots of stuff, but it wasn't where my heart was. I hung it all up, and I went to graduate school and got my degree in acting, and this is what I've been doing ever since. I really believe in this show, and if I have to stand out on a pillar for 5 hours a day, passing out flyers to convince people to come, that really makes me happy. I'm not one of those kind of artists that's like, if you don't get my art, then forget you. I want to create theater that is exciting, and is vibrant, and is imaginative. Theater should be different than going to the movies. It should reach out and grab you. And that's what we're trying to do.
You describe yourself as an American doing a British king in Scotland, and which I think is great. And how has that gone down?
I have not gotten any negative comments from anyone on the street.
How do you feel now that we've got 2 shows to go?
I can't wait until tomorrow.
Even though Ty was feeling the strain, his pecker was still up, which is more than could be said for some people, even when everything is laid on for them.
My name's James Inman. I'm performing at the Tron. I'm a stand-up comedian. Somebody called me and they said, do you want to do Edinburgh? So they paid for the airfare. I make money, and so I'm like, I'll do it. I would never promote my own show because I don't have the money. I'm a starving artist. Well, people that come by my show, they want to see me, so it's my show. But when I do other shows, they hate me. Comedians won't even talk to me. They just don't like Americans. Even when I tell them I hate America, they still don't like me. Everyone's handing out pamphlets, and they all want to be famous. They all want to get on TV or something. And I've never really done stand-up comedy to become famous or to make money. I just do it because I love the art. The word fringe in America means like edge, edgy, something different, something weird. And so in America, I do weird comedy because I make fun of Bush, I make fun of America, I make fun of the Iraq War and religion and fundamentalist Christians. And here, they just don't get it or they don't care.
You see, here, that's not fringe because that's what everybody does.
But I've been to a lot of shows and I haven't seen anything that's political. A lot of people have been handing me flyers and it's like a show about fairies. No one touches on the touchy subjects of religion, of politics, of America, of George Bush. No one has taken a chance. No one has stood up and said anything. In America, it's really funny when you stand up and you say something that wrong, because comedy, a lot of comedy is about saying the politically incorrect thing.
Because that's almost perceived as politically correct here, to be that sort of way, against the Bush administration and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, in America, for 2.5 years after 9/11, most comics were unable to make fun of George Bush. After Michael Moore's Fahrenheit 9/11 came out, comedians were able to make fun of George Bush, but it was pretty much a clampdown on freedom of speech for like 2.5 years.
Is that just because of the public's reaction to it if you did the material?
Yes, because I'm a comedian and I don't want to just be a political mouthpiece. I want to get laughs. When I tried a George Bush joke, I actually got almost physically attacked from people from the audience twice.
So you're not really enjoying yourself that much here, though?
No, because I'm here by myself and I'm wandering around and there's no one to talk to. I do my shows. I go out and I have a few pints, but I don't care about traveling. I know a lot of people like to travel. They tourists and their backpacks and their dreadlocks and their daddy's credit card. I'm here because I'm an artist and I get invited here. They bought my plane ticket and I don't care where I'm at. I just care about my shows and I care about the people I meet because I find people more interesting than places.
Oh, who's a poor baby? And I thought Poms were the whingers. It was hard to feel sympathy for James in light of the fact that I knew a group who'd lost a house deposit coming to Edinburgh and were still smiling. The Sabrettes in Cabaret Tingle Tangle was struggling for an audience. Tanya Kiriakou told me how that felt.
I'm enjoying the people that I've met, but we're getting like 10 people a night.
Right.
But Edinburgh is an absolutely divine place. I didn't realise it would be as beautiful as it is. I go up and down. I think I'm never coming back. I'm never doing theatre again. I'm giving it all up to next time I come, I think I'll do this. So
okay. You have had a review that wasn't the most favourable. So what sort of effect does that have on you?
I could see the woman in the audience. I knew she was hating it. But I felt that she hated it before we even started. So I can't take it too seriously. It's weird. I can't understand why she could give us... Because to me, 2 out of 5 is a fail. I wonder how she justifies it to herself. She was too cool to laugh at our show.
And this is the first bad review you've ever had?
Yeah, it's the only bad review I've ever had. And to make things worse, we actually invited that particular reviewer because we thought, she's cheeky. I think she'll like our show because we're cheeky. But then after we invited her, I read a lot more reviews and realised, no, she's actually nasty.
What was one of the lines that she said?
This show threatens to be funny, but never quite is.
Can you give us a little taste of Cabaret Tingle Tangle?
All right, well, this is a little song about oral sex or getting your love to please you. Can you move it to the left, dear? How about a little higher, dear? Could you circle around, dear? And please don't stop. That's almost right, dear. You're doing fine, dear. It's a little firm, dear, but you're in the right spot.
In Edinburgh, everyone is obsessed with reviews, and those twinkling stars can make or break you. Having witnessed the fallout of a bad review, I decided to talk to one of the most notorious critics in Edinburgh, a woman who proves that the pen is mightier than applause.
My name's Kate Copstick, and I'm the chief comedy critic for The Scotsman, but I'm also one of the judges on the Perrier panel.
How long have you been coming to the Edinburgh Festival?
Crikey, about 17, 18 years. Started off as an actress, then did a lot of comedy and cabaret, then came up, produced and presented a radio show, and then I started being a critic.
Right, and how did you find that transition from being the performer and desperately waiting for those reviews to actually being the one that handed them out?
I think that anybody, if they're honest, would love to be a reviewer, because anybody comes out of a show thinking, oh, that was fantastic, or oh, that was dreadful, and being able to write down your strongest feelings, that's great. It's like being given superpowers. Once I was just an ordinary performer at the Fringe, but now I'm super critic. The fact that people come up and say, oh, read your review on so-and-so, went to see the show, it's fantastic, we're telling all our friends. You kind of think, my work here is done. You put a show together and you go through everything, the money, the grief, the nerves, the everything that it takes to bring a show to Edinburgh. You have to think it's absolutely the best you can do, and if you do, then I need to review it like it's absolutely your best shot. And that means not making allowances. I review friends as harshly as I review people that I don't like. I think the star system is terrible, and I know precisely what I mean when I give Scotsman stars. But I also know that a lot of people look at the stars, don't read the review, and that's
I've certainly been guilty of that.
That's a stupid thing to do, because you never. Sorry, but I don't know. I mean, I always say to people, don't think for 1 second just because somebody's a professional critic, they know better than you. And I think if you read a lot of what's written as reviews, you'll realise that half these people don't know what they're talking about.
And there's a lot of egomania in reviewing as well, I think.
The temptation is, when you just start out, is to write a review that makes you sound witty and brilliant and fantastic. I know people think that I've done that, but I don't, because I've been on the receiving end of reviews way too many times. I know you analyse every word, every comma.
At this point, I decided to ask, how do you impress a reviewer?
I find sleeping with a critic never fails, because if it goes well, they'll want to push your show. If it goes badly, you can use it as blackmail.
So what are you doing later?
Well, now you come to mention it. Why do you think I agreed to this interview?
Anything you want to say to the people of New Zealand?
I think your accent is a comedy gift. There's a wonderful woman called Cal Wilson, and I thought she was Australian. And then she started to speak, and it's all that sort of in New Zealand, these strange New Zealand vowels where you don't have any mouth very much. And there's just something about it make you think, oh, that's kind of nice. And my brother lives in New Zealand. Oh, can I say hello to my brother? Of course. My brother Jeff and his wife Kate live with cows and horses and ducks and geese. Hello, and I'll see you at Christmas.
My name's Cal Wilson. I'm doing a show called Jekyll and Bride.
And you enjoying it?
Yeah, it's great. It's a hilariously bizarre experience to be flying strangers all day before your show on the street and being waterlogged and sodden by the time you get on stage some days. It's like training for a sport. You've got to pace yourself so you can do the whole 3 weeks. I've been very elderly about it, actually, and I think because my show's been on in the afternoon, I'm tuckered out by the evening.
What time is your show?
2:00.
And how have you found that? Because that's quite an odd time to go to theatre.
Well, people come to the festival to see shows, so they're prepared to see shows from 9 o'clock in the morning, so it seems to be working really well. My favourite quote that anyone's ever said to me about the festival was that being at the Edinburgh Festival is like being naked in a nudist colony. At any other stage you'd stand out, but here, you know, it is enormously difficult. You've just got to be lucky and get good reviews, and once you've got your reviews, you've got to put them on your posters and put them on your flyers and just hustle.
What is the weirdest thing that you think you've seen at the festival so far?
The woman that's making her husband follow her around giving out flyers dressed as a giant penis. Because I'm making my boyfriend fly for me, and he's quite happy to do that, but I don't think I could ever get him to dress up as a giant penis. Not that I want to. I think that would be odd.
Very odd. Okay, thank you very much.
Cheers.
Well, I suppose the lesson to be learned from all of this is you should never say yes to anything unless you're absolutely sure you heard the question right. I wasn't really listening when Colin proposed to me. He was pretty low-key about it. I was just lying in bed doing the crossword. But when Colin said to me, "Pam, will you give me a hand in marriage?" I thought he said, "Pam, will you give me a hand in the garage?" And so I went, "Yeah, hang on, I'll just finish this and get my dungarees on. Wait a second." And it's quite a hard thing to back out of. I mean, don't get me wrong, I really loved the idea of being engaged to Colin. It was our delicious little secret. Till we made the mistake of telling my mother. Suddenly we were sort of swept away in a bridal tidal wave. We were caught up in this white satin juggernaut that just kept gathering its own momentum, and suddenly, 6 months later, here I am. Pavlova made flesh.
Cal was just one of numerous Kiwi performers at Edinburgh. Next week we talk to the Flight of the Conchords' Bret McKenzie about their leap from Wellington to Edinburgh to Hollywood, as well as touching base with Michele A'Court and Jeremy Elwood. We also hear from the oldest buskers I've ever seen, a journalist from Ralph magazine, and a man who tells us
I'm gay, but not in a Barrymore way. Oh, I am gay, but not in a Barrymore way. Woo-hoo! Hey!
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome to the stage your hostess with the mostess. She's come all the way from New Zealand, proving that Kiwis can fly. She puts the O in poetry, the R in alliteration, and the S in assonance. She's the hot pink poet, Miss Penny Ashton. Last show in this entire Edinburgh Festival, so I'd like lots of enthusiasm for all of you to keep me awake. So we're going to try that again. 1, 2, 3. Hello, everybody! Hello! Much better. Welcome along to Hot Pink with Penny Ashton. Yay! Now I have come all the way from New Zealand. Do we have any other New Zealanders in the house? Make some noise! Yay! Oh my God! Woo! Masses of us. Do you like my cave, by the way? It's nice, isn't it? I'm used to performing in very glamorous venues in New Zealand, so this is perfect. All the single ladies in the house go, yeah! Yeah! Woo. All the single boys go, yeah, yeah, yeah!
Yeah.
And this is an audience participation poem. And so with this one, at the end of each verse, you all give me your best pirate noise, which is... Well, hi there, stranger. How do you do? My name's Miss Penny. Who are you? Well, that's a lovely name, Andrew. And a mighty handsome specimen, too.
Hi, I'm Penny Ashton, and that was the 23rd show in a row of Hot Pink, which I performed at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. For a month, I strutted my stuff in a dirty, damp, 600-year-old cave, and had more fun than Imelda Marcos at a shoe sale. I even enticed comedy poet legend Pam Ayres into my audience at the Gilded Balloon, who told me she thought it was lovely. In this week's serving of a hot pink haggis, I'm going to mix in a dollop of kiwis, add a splodge of midlife crisis, and garnish it all off with a blast from the past. One thing Edinburgh teaches you is that nothing is original. Just when you think you're the only girly comedy poet in the world who writes about slappers, an English lass will prove you wrong. Lucky for me, though, she prefers blue.
My name is Jude Simpson. I do a solo show which is based on comic poetry and songs. Well, this one is a poem called Football Tarts, which is my celebration of the kind of girl who goes to watch the football in a pub, but you know she's actually not watching the football, she's watching the boys.
Yeah.
She's match fit and she's made up and she's out to get her man. A thin strip of puff pastry with a layer of thick fake tan. Jeans so tight and skinny you wouldn't fit a goalpost in, hanging halfway down her arse to show off her G G-string, which is decorated with a Diamante St George's flag, whilst matching painted nails clutch a fake Louis V handbag. She's drinking too much Smirnoff Ice. She's walking like an Egyptian. She wants to be a footballer's wife and she's going to get her pitch in. She's a football tart. A football tart. She's feminism's nemesis, a sweeper's sweetheart. She wouldn't know the difference between Monet and Mozart, but the way she plays her game, man, that's a work of art.
Marvellous. Have you maximised on what you built last year?
It's really hard work, but I've got audiences in that are bigger than last year. I've got lots of good feedback from my audience. I'm enjoying doing the show and I'm proud of it. I've got some great reviews, and I've also been picked up by a couple of promoters that think they might be able to kind of do stuff for me. So it's going well.
And you're definitely coming back next year?
Well, the only way I've survived the stress of the last 3 months is by promising myself not to do Edinburgh 2005. But once you're in, you get a lot of respect from the industry the more you come back. If you're serious about your career in performance, then once you're here for the long run, at least 4 or 5 years. It's a massive investment. People have described it to me as being a trade show for the entertainment industry. So you just come up here, spend your money, set out your stall, display your wares, as it were, and just make the decision that you're going to throw some money into this and hope you get something out of it.
What do you think the public perception of comedy poetry is in the UK?
I don't think there is one, to be honest. There's definitely a public perception of poetry, and people tend to kind of shriek and recoil. People's experience is still like what they knew at school, or very pretentious, wannabe highbrow poets. There's definitely something to negotiate even before you start to get people into the show. But when they know it, they love it.
Comedy poetry may be a hard sell, but comic songs and plays are always popular. I talked to a group of London lads about their fringe experiences, and to a Manchurian man who made no sense at all.
Hello, my name's Kieran John Kerr, and I'm playing Jacuzzi Baxter in Jacuzzi Baxter the Legend Part 1. It's all about a failed comedian and insurance advisor who gets chosen inexplicably by the good Lord to become super detective and all-round good blood. Can Jacuzzi solve the crime? Will he balls it up? Probably.
Okay, my name's Russell Cobden. I'm the technician, and I pretty much sit there and press buttons all day.
Hello, my name's Justin. One of my favourite things about the festival is all the plays.
My name's Matthew Early. What I really hate about the festival is the rain.
Hello, my name's Ben Graves, and the most surprising thing that's happened at the Fringe is that my co-star Matt has actually got a girl to talk to him.
And that would be me.
In front of you, I am comedy genius. In front of that lot, down the arse. Show business, you Justin. Okay. Hannibal from the A-Team has been hit by a copyright lawsuit by none other than cookery legend Delia Smith. Delia said that after completing a successful pudding, she said, "I love it when a flan comes together."
Oh, you are a genius!
I know.
My name's Gary. I'm from Slaughterhouse Live, which is Laughter House with an S. It's going great. We've got 5 stars in Innumerates monthly. I think they're meant to give us 2 stars, but you never know. You can't tell. They don't even know what the readership is. They think about 4,000, but they're not quite sure. It might only be 2,000. I went on that website the other day, Alzheimer's Reunited. I didn't recognise anybody. I'll leave you right there. Anyway, sorry, that's what I do.
So this is the show, is it?
That's the show. No, that's not even in the show. I don't know where that came from. Stream of consciousness.
Do you want to give us a little bit of a song?
A little bit of. I can give you a bit of a song. This is a song all about being happy, and it's called "I'm Gay." I'm gay, but not in a Barrymore way. I'm gay, but not in a Barrymore way. I don't like Yentl or Elton John. I don't like men to touch my bum. I don't like Pink. I don't like tears, and I don't like dancing to Britney Spears. But I'm gay, but not in a Barrymore way. Oh, I am gay, but not in a Barrymore way.
Woohoo!
Hey! But I do like Pink, because that's you.
That's me, Hot Pink.
Bless you, darling.
Everyone dreams of hitting the big time in Edinburgh, and sometimes it happens, as with New Zealand's own Flight of the Conchords. Describing themselves as New Zealand's 4th most popular folk parody duo, Bret McKenzie and Jermaine Clement are the first ever Kiwi act to be nominated for comedy's top honour, the Perrier Award. I caught up with Bret to talk Hollywood, being recognised as that elf from Lord of the Rings, and the price of fame in Edinburgh.
I think in the first year it was more exciting, and it's got progressively less exciting. An example of the first year, which was pretty funny, was that we had no one coming to the show, so we started going down into the streets going, "Free ticket, cheap tickets. Who wants to take all the shows, all the great shows? Ross Noble, Bill Bailey, Flight of the Conchords, all the shows. What show you want? What show you want, love? What show you want? £1 a ticket, £1 a ticket." And then we go, "Oh, actually, We've just got Flight of the Conchords left. And then that's how we got people to come to our show. And now it's different because everyone just comes to the show. And in a way that they don't enjoy it as much because it's not so much of a discovery. And now we're a bit too popular. It's a bit of a curse. So the audiences enjoy it, but they're much more quiet and civilised, and it's not quite a buzz. Other things that amuse me is when they think that we're actually English and that we've put on the New Zealand accents as characters. What? That's my favourite comment. I've had a few of those. They go, "You're actually from New Zealand? Wow." A lot of people come to Edinburgh because it's a festival that can potentially break you into the UK industry. We had pretty much the dream Edinburgh run where you come over, you're nobody, then at the end of the festival everyone's heard about you, come back the next year and suddenly we've got the BBC and television companies wanting to have meetings with us, and instead of having kebabs for dinner, they're taking us out and we're having fancy meals. It's not like 1 year you can come over here and make it. You've got to come back a few years. I think we've done it quite quickly in 3 years. We've got 3 more nights of the show, then the next morning we fly to LA to have a meeting. And we're there for a few days, which is incredible, and introduce folk parody, New Zealand folk parody to Hollywood, or try to. You can meet amazing people. Like one time we got offered a gig, this guy goes, "Hello, I do not speak much English, but I am from Portugal and we have a mountain festival. We'd like you to come and play." And I said, "But do you think people will understand the jokes because they won't speak English?" He's like, "I don't think it will matter because you look funny." That's the sort of opportunity that Edinburgh can have for you. The first year we came over, there was a bit of a Lord of the Rings buzz. A few of them flew over to meet up and watch the show. Yeah, I sound pretty casual about that. It's 2 years ago now, so I've got used to it. But at the time, it was very ridiculous. It's Saturday today, and tonight the Scottish Lord of the Rings Fellowship will be at the show. The soul of the festival has kind of been ripped out by the comedy business. Lots of comics who are friends of ours now, they lose maybe £10,000, and then they spend the rest of the year touring, paying off that debt. If anyone's making money, it's the venues. They must be making millions. Every show's paying at least £2,000, and there's 10 shows a day in each venue. Some venues have 20 venues. It's like, what is that?
Lots.
It's millions a day. It's terrible.
And do you feel that they give enough resources, etc., to justify it?
No, they're terrible. They're useless. Most people lose money at the festival. Like Friends doing a show called The Dinks, and they're big-name comedians here. Even if it's sold out, they still lose a few £1,000s each. The thing is, it's particularly hard for New Zealanders because you've got to pay big airfares and the dollar's so weak that you can't afford to eat. And then it's just a disaster. So if you can break through that point, if you can keep coming for a few years, then you can start to make a lot of money because the pounds then translate back to New Zealand dollars. You can really be competing with a Shortland Street actor for income and just do comedy gigs. Whereas in New Zealand, in Wellington, there's one comedy gig on Thursdays and you get $20. But it's not, I mean, it's still a great gig. In Auckland, you can play at the Classic maybe a few times a week if you're lucky. But even still, you can't, there's no way you can make a living. Obviously, it's tempting to move to London to make some money. We haven't because basically it's a really terrible place to live. But the dream is to maybe spend a few months a year working in the UK, doing the festivals, and then maybe in Australia, and then spend 6 months at home. Yeah, before it was just my parents that liked what I was doing, and even they've gained confidence. The best thing you could do if you're trying to make it in New Zealand is go overseas, do a festival, even if you get no one come to your show. When you return to New Zealand, everyone's so excited, and you're like, direct from the UK, and TV, the radio, everyone wants to talk to you. It's terrible, it's so rude. When nothing's changed, but suddenly because you've been overseas, they think you're a hotshot. The Perrier competition, it's like the World Cup of comedy. Outside of the UK, no one really knows what it is. But in the UK, it's a really huge deal. As soon as you get nominated, or if you win, basically your show's sold out. Your show the next year is sold out. That's pretty much why we've been so successful this year.
And now you haven't been nominated again this year.
That was a little bit disappointing, but we weren't really expecting to be nominated. A lot of the papers expected us to, but we weren't that happy with our show, and we weren't happy with our venue, and just a mixture of things. The weather and...
what you ate.
Yeah, what I ate that day, that's the reason why. Wouldn't want people to get disheartened by how hard it can be, because it's still a great festival and it's still worth coming over just for the pure experience that you have in terms of life experience. Like, it's an amazing festival, and it's the biggest festival in the world, so it's definitely a great way to see it by doing a show here. And even if you lose a lot of money, I mean, we lost a lot of money the first year, I think it was still worth it. You learn more probably playing to 5 people than you do playing to 200. And then what you learn from doing 26 nights in a row, as a performer, you become just so much more confident and you really work through your material. So it's definitely worth coming over.
Anything you want to say to the people of New Zealand, Bret?
Bye.
The Concords weren't the only other Kiwis trying their luck in Edinburgh. A Billy T. James Award nominee and a former What Now presenter were also in town, starring in the New Zealand Comedy Showcase.
I am Jeremy Elwood. I'm doing 1 million shows. I'm doing 2 official shows and, 3 others a night or something ridiculous.
I'm doing I'm Michele A'Court, and I'm doing the Kiwi Showcase and every other gig I can pick up in either Edinburgh or Glasgow.
This is a trade fair. That's what we're here. It's a trade fair. It's like a convention for comedians, which is great. Anyone who's planning on coming to the festival, take a night off because it does your head in. You're surrounded by comedy 24 hours a day. Things aren't funny after a couple of weeks. You meet the same people a lot of the time. There's something really gratifying about going to a festival, realising you're not the only freak who's travelling the world trying to make people laugh.
A lot of people don't think comedy is art at all. Do you have any sort of response to that sort of a thing? Yeah, bite me. Yeah, that's a good one. But apart from that?
Comedy is one of the purest of art forms. I was trained in theatre. I think so much theatre has crawled up its own rectum, and they believe that if people don't understand it, suddenly it's art. But art is, by its nature, populist. People have to understand it.
It's the purest art form because all it is one person with a sound system and an audience and the relationship between those two entities. It's just about the material which you wrote yourself in which you try to connect with the audience. Do you know what? I find it so disappointing, that marketing thing. Like, I totally understand it. Everybody's got to make a living out of doing this. The promoters, the venue owners, the performers, everybody. But one of the reasons I'm in comedy is because you don't have to be young or pretty or sexy or the next hot thing to do this as a living. That's always been what I've loved about comedy. So I get so disappointed when I see comedy sold as young, pretty and sexy.
I mean, there's that whole thing too, that if you're the fat, ugly girl, not saying that you were, possibly I was, that you have to be funny to get ahead.
I just think it should be irrelevant what you look like, how old you are, except in terms of your life experience and the way the world reacts to you should be material. That should be your resource. Your body, your face, your life experience are your tools of trade. That's all we have, and that's why it's the purest art form. And that's what sold me on it when I was a kid in the 60s growing up, was that the only woman I saw on television who wasn't pretty was Carol Burnett, and she was the funniest person I'd ever seen, and I wanted to be her.
This is the thing I would like to push, is the fact that there are, I think we worked out, a quarter of the professional comedians in New Zealand are actually working over here at the moment and enjoying success. And please, anybody listening to this who writes a newspaper column, who edits a newspaper, who works in television, please drop this myth that New Zealanders aren't funny. Come into a club, watch us do what we do. If people laugh, we're funny. Get over it. I've got to go do a show. See ya.
Do you have any response to that along the lines of they will only ring you up or contact you once you've become successful overseas?
That's what we do in New Zealand. It's the cultural cringe. You're nobody unless you've done it overseas. The average standard of a festival show here is way lower than the average standard of a festival show in New Zealand. That's the point. We're really good, and we get a lot of attention here. It's amazing how well known every New Zealand performer is at this festival. It's, more than the Danes, for example.
Comedy is often accused of smothering the Fringe's other art forms by sucking in the media and resources. But comics can make big bucks, and that's why Edinburgh attracts many wannabes with stars in their eyes. I met a man who makes a living trying to turn these dreams into reality by promoting some juvenile delinquency.
My name is Logan Murray, and my involvement with the Edinburgh Festival is I am effectively a male prostitute.
Seriously?
No, I'm doing 2 things here. I'm doing a show. The reason why I think I was asked to do it is because I'm older than God's dog in terms of performing. First Edinburgh Festival I did was 1984.
Woo!
Yes.
I was 10.
I'm depressed. So was I! And then the other thing I'm doing, I run a comedy course. I work on this principle that people are naturally funny, and they are. Of the 400 people I've taught, maybe 15 have absolutely tanked, absolutely been dreadful. I wish I could say that's because of me, but it isn't. It's because people are naturally good storytellers, and if you can get rid of all that crap they learnt at school about do 5 drafts before it's ready for public consumption, don't stifle your creativity. All I did was just get them to remember how to be big kids again. I mean, most of the poor sods who do the course are doing some dreadful 9-to-5 job where they're working longer and longer hours for less and less pay and security and all this, and this is cutting them free, and then they can see they can make a living at it. That's my manifesto.
What do you say to the old adage, if you can't do it, teach it?
I think that's very, very true, and I'm a complete fraud. What was your question again? Sorry, I'm very old. But I've got to say, the teaching has been it's brilliant. I love it.
Why?
Because you watch people open up. Because I'm a great believer of getting people to do things rather than to sit and say, yes, these are the rules, you know. Words with K in are funny. Chicken's a funny word. Papaya isn't. You know, all that rubbish.
Now, what is your opinion of being able to teach comedy? Can you teach comedy?
The proof of the pudding must be that I hate to say this, I'm quite good at it. I'm sorry, New Zealand. I think I'm very good at my job. But as I said earlier, I don't know if it's about me. I think it's just I think human beings are very good at two things, making each other laugh and killing each other.
Yes, if only George Bush had been funny. But unlike W, for me to get any media attention in Edinburgh was almost impossible. As a no-name foreigner, the only suggestion one press agent could give me was get your tits out. As it was far too cold for that, I emailed them instead. One woman who responded, not just to me, but to hundreds of the other little people, was Caroline Moses, editor of the festival paper 3 Weeks, who incidentally gave me a 5-star review.
3 Weeks is 9 years old. It's a publication which endeavours to review as much as possible at the festival. The team is about 50, 46 of which are reviewing.
And they're all volunteers?
Yes, they are all volunteers. Nobody gets paid for doing it.
And how many hours a day do you work?
Probably about 20 usually.
And do you manage to see anything at all?
No, I have not seen one show in the whole time I have been here.
And so why do you do it?
For the love of it. The job is about making sure that people get the critical response that they want, because if we didn't do it, there'd be about 500 shows who wouldn't get a critical response, and that's what people come here for, and that's a very satisfying thing to do. I get a lot of abusive email. If you don't get along to see their show early enough, they're desperate for something that they can sell the show on. And also, I get abusive emails from people who got a bad review from us, but I can't help that because, we have to tell the truth.
What's the wildest thing you've ever seen at the festival?
I don't know, probably my managing editor on a night out.
It's not only UK journalists on the Rantan in Edinburgh. Writers from all over the globe arrived clutching media passes and bludging tickets. Still, when a man from Ralph magazine asked to see my show, I was a bit surprised.
Hello, my name's Jason Mountney. I'm a freelance writer and I'm covering the festival for a magazine called Ralph.
Ralph isn't necessarily one magazine that you put together with a cultural extravaganza. Any comments on that?
But they love their stand-up comedy. Le Clique is the best thing I've seen. It had something for everyone. It had hunky blokes and lovely girls. The Ukrainian hoop swinging girl is the most gorgeous-looking woman I've ever seen.
Now, you came to see me.
I did.
What'd you think?
You were tops. You get a bit wary, oh God, performance poet, is she going to bore us to tears? But no.
Do you know how many shows you've seen?
31. A media pass helps, otherwise I would have to probably sell one of my relatives or something like that, or a kidney.
Are you sick to death of shows?
I'm sick to death of drinking. I'm looking forward next week to living on orange juice and going to the gym all the time, and maybe even seeing the morning. That'd be really good.
Do you have anything you want to say to the people of New Zealand?
Oh, I love you all. Every time I've gone to New Zealand, you're always really good. I won't even mention the rugby because that would just be cliched and sad. Bless all your little hearts.
So there you have it. You've nearly devoured an entire hot pink haggis, and I hope you enjoyed your tatties and neeps too. I had an amazing experience at the 58th Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and I'm all booked in again to perform at the 59th. I know it'll be some of the hardest work I'll ever do, but hopefully it'll also be some of the most rewarding. I'll probably further develop my growing hatred of bagpipes, but then I might meet some charming buskers like this group of young ladies.
Well, I'm Millie.
I'm Hazel.
I'm Isabel.
And I'm Jean.
Well, Blast from Past, we're a group of 4 friends who go on holiday each year together. Our age combined comes to 294 years.
Excellent. And you always go on holiday and sing together, do you?
That's correct. Mostly in Ireland, and we're heading off there tomorrow again.
Well, we enter busking competitions in Ireland and we've been pretty successful there, I must say.
And have you always sung all your lives?
Not at all.
So what sparked it off?
Well, Isabel and I used to go on holiday together. Oh, I was a music teacher, yes, and I started up a group for adults after I retired, and we played guitar and started entertaining, called ourselves the Merry Minstrels, and Isabel is still a member of the Merry Minstrels. But Isabel and I decided to go to Ireland one year, and Isabel said, "Dad, we should have another 2 in the car." So we roped in Hazel and Jean, and it's been a very successful quartet. We were great friends and have great fun.
And do you make a lot of money when you're busking?
No, we do it mainly for the fun.
Now, we have a big busking festival in New Zealand, in Christchurch. Do you think you might want to come down for that?
Expenses paid, of course.
We'll have to talk to them about that. Do you think maybe you ladies could give us a little bit of a song?
Everlasting love. 1, 2, 3, I
Got an everlasting love for you. From now on, that's all I want to do. From the first time we met, I knew I'd have a never-ending love for you.
Woo! Right, people, it's coming to that time.
Nearing the end. I know. Have you had a good time? Yes! This is where I usually tell you to go and tell everybody, but it doesn't really matter, because this is the end. Oh my God, I'm going to get emotional. I've come all the way across the world to do this. It's gone really well. Thank you so much for coming to see me, and any day that I get to do this is pretty much a good day. So that's why I do this poem now, which is called A Good Day. But just what was the cause of this juvenile regression? How did climbing trees and scraping knees escape mature repression? And in truth, I just don't know. Except perhaps to say, with a skip in my step, I thought, what the heck, I feel pretty good today. Yeah. Thank you so much for being my last round of Edinburgh. You have been lovely. Enjoy the rest of the festival, which is about 4 hours. Thank you very much. Yay.